New rules for firefighters aim to protect the nation's first responders. But are they enough? We take a look at why Taiwan's weapons from the U.S. are taking almost a decade to be shipped. Washington's top representative to Taiwan says farewell. Plus,
it's World Blood Donor Day, and even on a rainy day in Taipei, people are still showing up at this mobile blood donation event. Is that why Taiwan has the highest rate of blood donations in the world? We're here to find out.
A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Betty Chen. New rules are in a pipeline designed to help protect firefighters. The proposals to revise fire safety laws are being welcomed after 2 fatal blazes in the past year. But some firefighters think the new measures don't go far enough. Zhang Wen reports.
It's been a deadly few months for Taiwan's firefighters. Twin disasters, one in September and one just 2 weeks ago, have the government looking for ways to stop preventable deaths. The cabinet has announced new revisions to the Fire Services Act that raise the pressure on businesses to follow fire rules. 4 firefighters died in this factory explosion last September. At the time, the factory was storing 30 times the amount of hazardous chemicals it had permits for. Under the revised law, withholding that kind of crucial information from firefighters would mean a fine of up to $93,000. Businesses like factories are also expected to have a designated liaison, someone who knows the place and can help firefighters with their work. Failure to have one would incur a fine of over $300,000. And there are bigger penalties for negligent business owners too.
厂商没有落实自主管理，致人重伤的时候呢，6个月到5年的一个刑责；如果致人于死，也提高刑责到7年。
The proposed amendments are also a response to this fire in May, which killed 2 firefighters when their oxygen ran out. A leaked recording of the pair calling for help and not getting any has mired their department in controversy, not least because it's threatened to go after the anonymous leaker. The amended law would include protections for whistleblowers. It also earmarks over $800 million to pay for things like new firefighting equipment. Not all firefighters are satisfied with these changes. Some say the higher fines and potential prison sentences aren't a big enough deterrent.
应该要依照营收的比例来去增加罚款。他如果没有做好相关的设施，明列说应该要在什么样的情况、什么样的程度之下，他应该要做停业的处分。
They are also skeptical about plans to overhaul equipment. They say the government's plan amounts to a one-time handout, and that fire departments should be able to replace equipment whenever it's needed through a regular system. Though the changes have some of what firefighters have been calling for in recent months, officials and first responders are still finding themselves at odds. Klein Wang and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
A report from Taiwan's Defense Ministry reveals that billions of dollars in weapons from the U.S. are delayed. It's been an issue for years and has been getting worse since the U.S. began supplying weapons to Ukraine. For more on this, our reporter Jaime Okan spoke to Eric Gomez, a security analyst from the Cato Institute in Washington, D.C.
So, Eric, looking at this report from the MND, the Defense Ministry, not much has moved in the sense of the $19 billion worth of weapons that are backlogged and have yet to be delivered to Taiwan. But there's one sale specifically in 2017, this deal for tow missiles to Taiwan. Can you really quickly first describe why are tow missiles important for Taiwan's defense?
The tow missile is a relatively small, relatively portable anti-tank weapon. For Taiwan, you need a lot of things like this to offset Chinese advantages in armored vehicles, right? The Chinese just have a lot of them, and anti-tank weapons in the hands of infantry that can be, in the case of this particular sale, right, mounted to the top of Humvees they're Humvees, they're very mobile, just like a car. Having large numbers of those that can move around easily is really advantageous to Taiwan in a invasion defense scenario, right? Because you can use these things against, it's optically guided, right? So you can use them against landing craft coming ashore, tanks, groups of infantry, right? It's a very versatile anti-ground force weapon.
What is this saying then about perhaps maybe the United States' ability to produce weapons like these tow missiles?
But to have nothing, this far after for such a simple capability, I think is really damning on the U.S. defense industrial base. I think it's really damning on the attention that is given to Taiwan, and it shows a real mismatch between American rhetoric and actual prioritization. I think as a good matter for what Taiwan should do is really invest in domestically made systems, right, that don't depend on the United States or anyone else for import of critical components in order to do, and it might not be exactly the same as something like the TOW, but you could get to something relatively similar. And Taiwan's defense industry is pretty good.
Now, you talked about Taiwan's domestic capacity to make these weapons. Do you think going forward that's going to be feasible? Can Taiwan make enough of these weapons for its defense?
I think the big problem that Taiwan faces is the scale at which it can produce, right? And I think that means sustained investment in Taiwan's defense industrial base to increase its size, right? And maybe co-production agreements or trying to seek ways for U.S. company cooperation is one way to do that. If the U.S. defense industry is really falling short, I mean, this relates to a lot of debates that the U.S. has right now about the prioritization of Taiwan versus Ukraine, right? And this idea that, you know, I think that the warning lights are flashing in the sense that there's a lot of demand for American-made weaponry around the world right now, especially in the aftermath of the Ukraine war. And for the last 2 years, Taiwanese government officials, including the now, vice president, have been very vocal about saying there is zero trade-off, right? There is no trade-off between America supporting Taiwan and America supporting Ukraine. I think that is going to become less true over time, especially if the Ukraine war drags on.
That was our reporter Jaime Okan speaking to Eric Gomez from the Cato Institute. A change of guard is due at the U.S.'s de facto embassy in Taiwan. Sandra Alkirk, the director of the American Institute in Taiwan, is wrapping up her 3-year post at the end of this month. Reflecting on her post, she said the U.S. Taiwan relationship is better than it's ever been. Joyce Zeng was there.
The de facto U.S. embassy here in Taiwan is saying goodbye to its director. Career diplomat Sandra Alkirk is wrapping up her 3-year term as the head of the American Institute in Taiwan, or AIT. And in her parting message, she said that amid stiff U.S.-China competition, the U.S. will always stand up for its partners, including Taiwan. Under her term, China's military pressure on Taiwan has intensified over its rejection of Taiwanese self-rule. Alkirk stressed that bolstering Taiwan's self-defense is an AIT priority. In addressing delays in U.S. weapon sales to Taiwan, Alkirk said some relief from pandemic-related production disruptions is expected.
Production of U.S. arms and other military equipment were severely affected during the pandemic by supply chain problems. Those are now unwinding. We look forward to the delivery of the military capabilities that Taiwan has purchased over the past several years.
Alkirk also pointed to efforts to bring Taiwan and the U.S. closer in economic trade, especially in high-tech, attention to cybersecurity, and also fostering people-to-people ties, like encouraging and supporting American students in Taiwan. And this is all to keep building on shared values. Reflecting back on her first time living in Taiwan, which was back in the 90s when she began her career as the youngest official at AIT, Alkirk said Taiwan's democratic transformation is really a model for the region. And Alkirk was optimistic that this leadership will continue in the future. She said that the regional landscape today is much more complex than before, but that the U.S. and Taiwan relationship remains strong to ensure stability in this key region. Alex Chen and Joyce Zeng in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te has featured on the cover of Time magazine with his first interview since taking office in May. In the interview, Lai reiterated his inaugural comments, saying Taiwan and China are not subordinate to each other. He called on all nations to respect the sovereignty of the Taiwanese people while encouraging dialogue, trade, and educational exchanges with Beijing. Taiwan has the highest rate of blood donations in the world, but the country still faces shortages. On World Blood Donor Day, Xiaoliuqiu finds out why.
A small but consistent trickle of people standing on a busy street, holding a piece of paper with a number on it, all waiting in the rain for a similar reason, to donate blood.
我觉得捐血是一件很有意义的事情，可以帮助别人，也可以帮助自己。对，所以我会定期捐血。
捐血一代救人一命，就是能够帮助大家就帮助大家。
So I think it's very important and can help others, and also, yeah, we can more get healthy for in the community.
To maintain Taiwan's blood supply, hospitals rely on consistent donations, sometimes even offering special incentives and holding events.
This is just one of the many mobile blood donation centers parked around Taipei. Taiwan has the highest rate of blood donations in the world, but it also uses that blood at 4 times the rate of the U.S., which means there are consistent shortages. Doctors say that is for 2 reasons.
The first reason is because of how doctors use blood.
也可能因为我们捐血率还很高，所以血源比较充裕的，不缺血的。那加上我们是健保给付，所以医师对这个血品的价格，或是这些东西好像比较不受限制。
The second reason for blood shortages is Taiwan's aging population.
捐血我们有年龄的限制嘛，17岁到65岁。那我们这些中层的捐血人啦，其实到了65岁，可能他就没有办法再捐。20年前，我们大概小于20岁的人可以捐到35万人次，那今年大概只剩下10万。
As Taiwan's population gets older, people are rapidly aging out of blood donation age. Health experts worry for the future of Taiwan's supplies. But if everyone who does donate maintains the same giving attitude, the future of Taiwan's blood shortage is looking positive. Luffy Lee and Xiaoliuqiu for TaiwanPlus.
Stay tuned to TaiwanPlus. Coming up after the break, we take a look at a spiky creature that's invading one of Taiwan's outlying islands.
Some stores have been sold out of items like hand sanitizer and face masks for several weeks, but now hygiene...
One item that no one really can seem to find right now is toilet paper. CBS's Mike George forced stores like Costco to put a limit restriction on other items.
In 322 BC, Athenian orator Stratocles spread news that Athens had triumphed over the Macedonian general Antipater to win its freedom. The 2 days of celebrations which followed left the city undefended as the actually victorious Antipater closed in, arriving to found an oligarchy of the class in which Stratocles was a member. The Athenian democracy thus went down in a blaze of fake news. Fake news is as old as time. The internet, however, is not.
Broken News. Coming Friday, May 31st, 7 p.m. on TaiwanPlus.
I'm Mick Lark for TaiwanPlus, here on a Philippine Navy patrol vessel in the South China Sea. For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, follow TaiwanPlus News on social media.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Xiaoliuqiu is a popular tourist destination for travelers in Taiwan, but a surge in the number of sea urchins there is presenting a prickly problem for the island's tourism industry. Wesley Lewis reports.
Known for its clear blue waters and picturesque beaches, Xiaoliuqiu Island off the southwest coast of Taiwan is popular among beachgoers and snorkelers. But recently, sea urchins have taken over, giving tourists a prickly experience.
我跟潜水店家反映就说，你们怎么没有给手套啊？这个海胆那么多，然后他就说常常有人被刺到啦，大家就是觉得被海胆刺到很稀松平常。
Xiaoliuqiu's health officials have advised visitors to wear protective wetsuits when entering the water. But conservationists say sea urchin numbers will keep going up because the waters around the island provide an ideal habitat.
有充分的食物来源，然后又少了天敌那它的天敌很多可能就是被过去的那些过渔都影响，所以就是数量变得比较少。
Scientists say algal blooms may become more common as climate change fuels warmer ocean temperatures, giving sea urchins like those in Xiaoliuqiu more opportunities to feed.
So what that comes from is algal blooms out in the ocean, otherwise known as red tides to most people, that are forming in a natural occurring environment, but growing larger and more concentrated because of climate change, warming ocean temperatures, and more runoff nitrates going into the water that feed those algal blooms.
The local government is removing sea urchins from a list of protected species, and they plan to add coral and clams to the list, as these are the sea urchin's natural competitors. As officials try to curb the sea urchin population, they have also proposed collecting visitor fees of about $2 a head to reduce the number of people on the beaches, and tourists have mixed feelings.
收那些钱，可能不会有人要去了。
还好啦，因为海滩还是必须要有人维护。
Summer is the peak tourist season in Xiaoliuqiu, but as the sea urchin population here continues to thrive with the effects of climate change, local officials are hoping to curb their spread and remove a major thorn in the side for the tourism industry. Kama Shu and Wesley Lewis for TaiwanPlus.
Jujubes are a popular fruit across Taiwan, but recent unstable weather patterns are slashing harvest in the northern county Miaoli, where almost all the country's red dates are grown. Reese Ayers reports.
They may look green now, but these are in fact young red dates, also known as jujubes. A popular fruit in Taiwan, they're only really grown at this scale here in Miaoli in the country's north. And this year, farmers say it's been slim pickings. Covering an area of about 80 hectares, the average annual output for this farm is 2.4 million kilograms of jujubes. But farmers found some trees are producing up to 80% less fruit this year. The Farmers Association says that unstable weather has impacted the trees' flowering rates.
The
local government has asked farmers impacted by low harvests to provide figures so that they can apply to the central government for disaster subsidies.
这个灾害补助我们预计1公顷跟他申请个8万块那个中央原则上也同意了补助一定是不足了那当然希望可以补贴农民的损失。那果农这样看起来这个大概只剩下一半上下的这个产量。
It's not just jujubes that might be in short supply this summer. Mango, peach and plum farmers have also seen reduced harvests over the past few months, all due to unusual weather patterns, likely down to climate change. Devon Tsai and Reese Ayers for TaiwanPlus.
The body of an 84-year-old man who went missing on a hiking trail has been found. His wife reported his disappearance on Wednesday in Taiwan's central mountains. They had split up to relieve themselves, but he never returned. The fire department found his body nearby a full day later. His family say he had mild dementia and may have strayed off the trail. Park officials are reminding hikers to stick to marked paths.
大学坑环池步道它是一个还算单纯的一个步道系统但是如果脱离了这个步道系统，它的周围都是我们的造林地，那一旦走失，也很难被旁边附近的人发现。
U.S. President Joe Biden and his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky have signed a 10-year security deal designed to shore up Ukraine's defense against Russia.
Our goal is to strengthen Ukraine's credible defense and deterrence capabilities for the long term. A lasting peace for Ukraine must be underwritten by Ukraine's own ability to defend itself now and to deter future aggression anytime in the future.
The agreement was made on the sideline of the G7 summit in Italy. It commits future U.S. administrations to supporting Ukraine with military aid for the next decade. Zelensky says the deal paves the way for Ukraine to join NATO. It comes after G7 leaders agreed to loan $50 billion to Ukraine by the end of the year using frozen Russian assets. Tesla shareholders have approved a $56 billion pay package to CEO Elon Musk after a U.S. judge has nullified the payment. The judge ruled the 2018 pay package was unfair to the organization and that Musk improperly controlled the board at the time of the original investor vote. Musk still faces legal hurdles to getting the pay deal. He needs to convince the court that he did not try to influence the latest vote. The package is the largest ever compensation granted to an executive at a U.S.-listed company. Fans of a popular South Korean instant noodle brand are steaming over a recall ordered by Denmark's government, which claims they're too hot to handle. John Venturez reports.
Pulled from shelves in Denmark, 3 types of instant noodles made by South Korean food giant Samgyang. The reason? A spicy compound called capsaicin. As an active component in chili peppers, it's in plenty of food. But Danish officials say these noodles have so much that it could cause acute poisoning. Back in South Korea, where the noodles are best sellers, the news has been met with bemusement.
건강상의 문제면은 한국에서 더 이슈가 먼저 됐었어야 된다고 생각하는데 그래도 한국에서는 수요가 계속해서 많은 추세니까 건강에 문제가 있는가에 대해서는 잘 모르겠네요.
건강에 좋을 것 같다고는 생각은 안 했는데 그래도 전량 회수할 정도는 또 아닌 것 같아요. 그냥 기호식품 정도라고 생각해요.
But even the Danes themselves seem surprised to learn noodles they've been eating regularly are too spicy for them to handle.
I don't really know what to tell people because, it is promoted as something spicy. I want to eat it. Just because you can't eat it doesn't mean I don't get to eat it. So I'm just very upset that I don't get my noodles. But, everything for the good of the people, right?
I think it's a little bit strange because most people, they already know it's spicy when they buy it.
One shop owner in Copenhagen is particularly annoyed about the recall.
And I've received the report from the Danish Food Administration. And in the report, it says that this product is just as spicy as fresh jalapenos and Tabasco. So if ramen is being recalled, then why is Tabasco and fresh jalapenos not being recalled?
Deaths after eating spicy food aren't unheard of. Last year, a Massachusetts teen with a heart defect died after taking part in a spicy tortilla chip challenge on social media. But how hot is too hot? That, it turns out, can be a subject of heated debate. Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Cat lovers will tell you that it's hard to tell when their feline is feeling funky. That's why a Japanese developer has created an app that removes the guesswork. Sandy Chi explains.
With just a quick photo of her 14-year-old cat, Chi, Kitakata Mayumi can find out whether her pet is in pain.
黄色くなってるのが痛みがあるっていう判断がされた時で、それがちょっと続いたりすると獣医さんに、うちの場合は電話で相談して、こういうふうに何日も痛みがある表示が続いてしまった時はやっぱりおかしいな。
This is all thanks to CatsMe, a Japanese smartphone app developed by Carelagi, a startup, and researchers at Nihon University. The developers say it's 95% accurate. According to Kitakata, its ability to detect discomfort in cats has been a big help and saved her from several stressful trips to the vet.
この子は以前口の中を怪我したことがあるんですけど、こんなに腫れててもご飯食べるので分かりづらいんですね。痛くてもご飯食べるから。だけどそのアプリで痛みがあるっていう風に出たら、ご飯食べててもどっかおかしいんだなっていうのを判断できるようになったので、すごく助かります。
Cats that are Chi's age often get sick. According to statistics from the Nihon University, more than 70% of elderly cats have arthritis, but only 2% of them see a vet.
でその理由は飼い主さんが痛いことに気づいてないことが多いんです。で今アプリを作っている目的はいろいろな痛みに対してもしかしたら正常じゃないかもしれないっていう飼い主さんへの気づきのきっかけ、LINE きっかけっていうことを目的に今作ってまして。
So far, CatsMe has been used by over 230,000 pet owners in more than 50 countries since its launch in 2023. Using this technology to better understand their cats, Pet owners can now better ensure the well-being of their beloved furballs. Howard Zhang and Zanny Chi for TaiwanPlus.
Big hugs for K-pop star Chen in his first public appearance since finishing his mandatory military service in South Korea. Chen is the first out of the 7-member global sensation, BTS, to complete his 18-month stint. Fans flocked to a meet and greet with the star just 2 days after his discharge, with 1,000 people want a chance to hug the singer. BTS has been on hiatus as its members serve in the military, a break that's estimated to have cost the South Korean economy billions of dollars. Taiwan state-funded creative arts organization is teaming up with 2 of the country's performance centers to promote Taiwanese pop music on a world stage. The collaboration will focus on preserving Taiwan's pop music, internationalizing the industry, and nurturing talent, aiming to put T-pop on the same level globally as K-pop. Taiwan was once widely recognized as a powerhouse of Mandarin language pop music, with some, including former President Tsai Ing-wen, attributing the success of the industry to Taiwan's democracy and freedom. Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we bring you a sneak peek of a performance by Taiwan's One Song Orchestra featuring violinist Richard Lin. They're performing in Japan next week. I'm Betty Chen. Take care and see you next time.